There's a moment in your financial life when your contributions stop mattering. It's not because you did something wrong. It's because your money got big enough that it grows more in a year than you could even add to it. People call it the crossover point. And most videos out there, they treat it like it's some kind of finish line you celebrate. I'm going to show you what it is and how to know when you've hit it. But then I'm going to show you the part no one's talking about. Crossing it is not a finish line. For a lot of people, it's the most dangerous moment in their entire financial life, and they walk right into it feeling proud instead of paying attention. My name's Tyler. I'm a financial planner. Let's get into it. And real quick, if you want someone to look at where you are and tell you whether you've crossed this point, that's what we do at Riverbend. There's a link in the description below to book a free discovery call. All right, let's start with what the crossover point actually is. Here's the idea in plain terms. Every year, two things add money to your retirement accounts. You got the money you put in, that's your contributions, and then you've got the money your investments earn. That's the growth. Early on, your contributions do almost all of the heavy lifting. Your growth is small because your balance is small, but every year your balance gets bigger and your growth gets bigger with it. And then at some point, the growth in a single year becomes larger than everything you contribute in that year. That's the crossover point. The moment your money is doing more for you than you're doing for it. Let me make it real. Say you're putting away $20,000 a year and your portfolio earns about 7%. When your balance is $100,000, 7% growth is $7,000. Your $20,000 in contributions is still the engine, but when your balance hits $300,000, that same 7% is $21,000. Now your growth has passed your contributions. You've crossed over. For most people, that happens somewhere between $300,000 and $500,000, and that just depends on how much you save and what you earn on it. And this is where almost every video on this topic stops. They show you the milestone, they tell you to celebrate it, and then it just moves on. But the milestone isn't the important part. It's what happens to your risk the moment you cross it. That's the part no one tells you about. Here's what changes the second you cross over, and it's invisible, which is why it's dangerous. Before you cross over, your contributions are steadily protecting you. Think about it. When the market drops while you're still adding $20,000 a year, that money is buying in at a lower price and it's softening the blow. A bad year can hurt, but you're still pouring money in, so you're partly fighting the drop. Your contributions are a cushion, and after you cross over, that cushion is reduced dramatically. Your $20,000 in contributions is now small compared to the portfolio that's growing by $50,000 or $100,000 in a single year. Now the market's in charge, not you. And if the market falls 30%, you can't add enough to make up for it. The thing that used to soften every single drop has now been outgrown. So your biggest risk just flipped. For your whole working life, your number one risk was not saving enough. The day you cross over, your number one risk becomes a bad market doing damage you can no longer outsave. And almost nobody notices this happen because nothing on the surface changed. You got the same accounts, same statements, same routine, but underneath the rules of your financial life just changed completely. Your money is no longer protected by your effort. It's exposed to the market in a way that it never was before. Now here's a part where I watch people get hurt. The first time your portfolio earns more in a year than you do at your job, there is just something that happens inside of your head. It feels like you made it. It feels like the hard part's over. And that feeling, as good as it is one of the most dangerous feelings in your entire financial life because it shows up at the exact wrong moment. And then it pushes people in one or two directions. Some people get greedy. They feel like their portfolio is on fire and they start taking more risk. I see this all the time. We have conversations with people and they just start chasing the hot thing. They pile into stocks and they figure if it's working this well, why not push harder? They take on more risk at the moment they have the most to lose and the least time to recover from it. Here's the part that surprises people. More stocks is not automatically safer here. When you move from saving for retirement to drawing income from your portfolio, the math begins to change. The goal is no longer just, how do I get the highest return? The goal becomes, how do I create income that can survive bad markets, inflation, and then just the real life that you're going to have to live in retirement. That's why retirement income research doesn't usually point to an all-stock portfolio as the answer. Some of the classic withdrawal research has favored balanced portfolios, often somewhere around 50 to 75% in stocks. Other research focused on sequence of returns risk suggests that some retirees may benefit from being more conservative right around retirement, then maybe increasing some exposure over time. So the point is, it's not that there's one perfect stock number. The point is that piling into stocks at the crossover point can be running the wrong play at the worst time. But the opposite mistake is just as dangerous. Some people get complacent. It starts feeling good. The money is finally growing more than they can contribute. So they stop paying attention. They stop reviewing the plan, and they assume the portfolio will just keep doing what it's been doing. Then they coast straight into a market drop with no income strategy, no cash reserve, and no clear plan for what they're going to do next. Both mistakes come from the same feeling. I've made it. I can relax. But crossover is not the moment to relax. It's the moment your job begins to change. You're no longer just trying to grow the money. You're trying to protect the income that money has to produce. The whole game shifts from offense into coordination. Growth still matters, stocks still matter, but now they have to work inside a plan. Because the feeling you get when you cross over can push you to do the exact wrong thing, and that's a trap. Now, if you've crossed this point and you're not sure whether your money is set up the right way, that's what we do at Riverbend. There's a link in the description below to book a free discovery call. All right, there's one more crossover, and for anyone near retirement, it matters more than the first one. So here's the second crossover, and if you're anywhere near retirement, this is the one that actually matters. Most people have never heard it framed this way. The first crossover we talked about is about your balance. It's the moment your growth beats your contributions. That tells you your money is working on its own, but it does not tell you whether you can stop working. The second crossover is about your income. It's the moment your guaranteed income, your Social Security, and then any pension plans you have, plus the sustainable income your portfolio can produce, meets or passes what you actually spend. That's the real line. That's the moment you can walk away from your paycheck and your life keeps running. And here's why the distinction matters so much. You could be way past the first crossover and still not be able to retire. Your portfolio could be growing beautifully on its own and you still might not have enough income to cover your life. The growing balance feels like the finish line, but it's not. The income crossover is. Let's make this simple. Say you spend $6,000 a month and Social Security gives you $3,000 a month. Your portfolio needs to sustainably produce the other $3,000 a month or $36,000 a year without you running out. Here's what that takes in real dollars. Now, depending on the research you look at, a sustainable starting withdrawal rate might be somewhere around 4% per year on the conservative end, up to potentially closer to 6.5%, depending on the situation. But the right number depends on a lot of things. When you retire, how old you are, how your money's invested, how much cash you have set aside, how much guaranteed income you have coming in, and how flexible your spending is over time. So if you want to create $36,000 a year of reliable retirement income, the amount you need behind it could look very different from one household to the next. If you go more conservative on the withdrawal rate, that could mean needing $800,000 or $900,000. A higher withdrawal rate and the number could be much lower. But that's the point. The goal isn't just to hit a balance that feels good. The goal is to know whether your money can actually pay the bill every month, adjust for inflation, and hold up over a 25 to 30-year retirement. The day it can do that reliably, you've hit the crossover that actually sets you free. The first crossover is about your balance. The second is about your freedom. And most people spend years staring at the wrong one, watching the balance grow and never asking the only question that matters, which is, when does my money produce enough for me to live on? Now, here's the part I really want you to hear because it has nothing to do with risk and has nothing to do with strategy. The crossover point is something you earned. For years, you were the engine. Every dollar came from your effort, your discipline, and your paycheck. And the day your money starts outworking you is the day you're allowed to stop carrying all this on your back. Most people never let themselves feel that. They cross over and then they just keep grinding the exact same way they did at the beginning. It's the same way they did when every dollar depended on them. They keep saying no to the trip, no to the time off, no to the slower pace because the habit of pushing is the only setting they know. But the whole point of getting your money to work harder than you do is so that you don't have to work as hard. That's what you've built this for. So if you've crossed over or you're getting close, give yourself permission to let the machine work. Stop carrying all this weight on your own. You earned that. Don't let the habit of grinding rob you from the freedom you spent 30 years buying. Now, easing up only works if the machine you built can actually carry the weight. And that comes down to one thing. Is your money set up to protect what you've earned, or is it still set up like you're 30 years from needing it? I made a video that walks through how to make sure your portfolio can carry you over right here. I go through specific moves that protect what you've built once your money's doing the work. because the freedom we just talked about only feels free when you know it's safe. I'll see you there.